Okay, let's continue on with this and do some practice problems. Okie dokie, so we're going to go back to a question that we did on the front page, number 7. You bought a car for $15,500 and after 6 years the car is worth $8,700. What was the relative change? Well, we found that the absolute change was a negative $6,800. So now I want to answer this, find out what is the relative change. Means that I have to take the absolute change divided by the relative value, which in this situation gives me negative 6,800 divided by 15,500, which I didn't leave myself quite enough room, is negative 0.4387. Okay. And so when I'm doing the relative change, from here I want to turn this into a percent. So this becomes 43.87%. Okay, so there are a couple of ways to state this. Words like decrease by or less imply the negative, so you don't want to include the negative. Well, I forgot that. So you don't really want to include the negative when you're using those words. So the value of the car decreased by $6,800 or 43.87%. Since I used the words decreased, that implies how much it went down. The car is worth $6,800 or 43.87% less. So you can write it like this or you can write it like that. If always look at instructions and see what it is that you're really being asked to do. Okay. We're often using percentages to compare new numbers. We know the formula for absolute change. I'm sorry, for relative change or difference, and multiply it by a percent. Okay, so let's compare the price of a Mercedes to the price of a Lexus. The difference between the Mercedes and the Lexus is $50,000 minus $40,000. Now we don't know which is the relative or which is the compared value. We're just comparing these two prices. So the difference between them is $10,000. It could be $10,000 if we're starting here, $10,000 up. If we're starting here, $10,000. So we can say that if it's more, the Mercedes is more than the Lexus, it is $10,000 more than the Lexus. This is called the absolute difference. Okay, we can also express this as a percent since we are comparing to the Lexus price. Okay, so if we're looking for a to the Lexus price, we say the Lexus price is the reference value. The Mercedes price is the compared value. So if I want to do this, if I want to say, so I know that the Lexus is the reference value and the Mercedes is the compared value. So if I want to find the relative difference as a percent, then I'm going to take the compared value minus the reference value. So this is going to be 50,000 minus 40,000 divided by 40,000, which gives me 10,000 divided by 40,000, which is 1/4 or 0.25 or 25%. So the Mercedes costs 25% more than the Lexus. Since the compared value costs more, the relative difference is positive. Okay. All right, so use the side of your answer to check that you correctly identified the reference and compared values. If the compared value is greater than the reference value, the relative difference is positive. If the compared value is less than the reference, the relative difference is negative. Now, we could also have done this the other way. We could have made and I think I'm going to do this to show you what the difference is. Okay. If I make the compared value the Lexus, the change here is it's still 25% less. Oops, it's actually going, let's see how much, if I'm comparing that in the Mercedes. Okay, so if I do that, if I take 40,000 minus 50,000 divided by, and now my reference value is 50,000, that becomes 10,000 over 50,000, which is 0.2, which means that the Lexus is 20% less than the Mercedes because you changed the reference value. Okay. All right, find the relative difference to fill in the blank. Be careful to identify the reference value and the compared value first. Okay, the 2009 life expectancy in Canada is 81.2 years, and it is greater than the life expectancy than Russia. Okay, so we're comparing Canada. So Canada is going to be the compared value, and Russia is going to be the reference value. Okay. So I'm going to take the compared value minus the reference value divided by the reference value, which gives me 81.2 minus 65.9 divided by 65.9, which gives me 0.232. And since it's greater than, this all makes sense. It should be, I'm going to turn that into a percent, so that is 23.2% greater. The median age at first marriage of U.S. women is is less than the median age of men. Okay, so this is going to be my compared value. And men is going to be my reference value. And since it's less than, that makes sense because that's going to, so you should end up with a negative number. Okay, here you should have ended up with a positive. Okay, so I'm going to do 25.9 minus 27.5 divided by 27.5. When I do my calculations, I get negative 0.058, which when I turn it into a decimal is negative 5.8%. But this is what I kind of did up here with the car. Now I'm going to do the same problem, but we're going to change the reference and the compared values. So the median age of first marriage for U.S. men is more than the median age of women. So this is now our compared value, and this is our reference value. So I'm going to do my compared minus my reference, 27.5 minus 25.9 divided by 25.9, which is more than it should be positive, so this is 0.062, which gives me 6.2%. I would practice this. I would practice going back and forth. Just find two values and figure out the difference if you switch the compared value and the relative value. Okay, that's it for this section.